If you saw it earlier on the website, on Philly Sports Network, did a nice write-up on episode 2 of SportsTown. Four best friends, their search for the best sports city in America. They went bananas this week, and I'm bringing them in. Dan Koob, the host of the show, is here with us, a Philly guy, so very appropriate for Philly Sports Network. Dan, how we doing today on this Friday? A nice Birds win, a nice Phillies win yesterday. Got to be feeling good.
Fish, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show. It's great to see you again, too. Full disclosure, known each other a long time, so was very appreciative that you wrote the piece about me and the boys heading down to Savannah, Georgia, and feel very fortunate to be talking to you right now.
Of course, man, of course. And before we get into it, I did get a chance to watch the episode. I watched the premiere live on YouTube. Great episode. Love the vibes. It was a nice change. I loved the first episode, but I liked that this one really did encapsulate the difference between the two cities when you went outside of the Bananas. And then, of course, the partnership with the Savannah Bananas themselves added a lot of fun and flavor to the episode. But when you came into the studio, we were talking about the struggles of Aaron Nola recently. So before we get into the episode, just wanted to get your quick thoughts as a baseball fan, a sports fan. How you feeling about Aaron Nola? I know that it's tough to focus on the negative after a big win in Milwaukee for the series, but Aaron Nola really struggling since coming off the IL.
I'll tell you, I'm really excited to see him pitch for the Phillies for the next half decade. Really excited for that contract. 7 for what, 179 or whatever it ended up being. You always pay for past performance, as we know. Right, watching everyone around the different leagues, you always pay for past performance. So that's what the Phillies ended up doing, and that's now kind of like Aaron Nola's the best paid innings eater in Major League Baseball for the next 5 years. So if they can squeeze 5 out of him, that's great. You know, it kind of reminds me of Cole Hamels in 2009. If you remember 9, he was shot. His arm was shot. He pitched more innings in 08 than he had ever pitched in his entire career. And I think I remember this correctly. He said in a World Series press conference he couldn't wait for the year to be over because he was having such a miserable season. That's what this really reminds me of. Not that Aaron Nola has thrown so many innings last season that he's now falling apart, but he has been such a horse for the last 5, 6, 7 years that, you know, maybe it's catching up to his body. I mean, his velocity is never really been a guy who's rushing it up there, right? So his velocity sits at like 91, 92, and if he's spotting the ball over the plate and not on the corners, then he's very easily hittable in today's Major League Baseball. I think that's just been the biggest issue. And, you know, when you give up 5 runs without recording an out against the best team in baseball record-wise, you know, you're going to look pretty bad. But when you're also not getting outs against teams that are not the Milwaukee Brewers, then everyone's kind of alarm bells go off. So I don't have many high hopes from him at this point. He's missed so much time during the season, and he came back. He doesn't look right. He's got the ankle. He's got the ribs or whatever. Don't have high hopes. And when you pair that with Wheeler, you know, this is a rotation that looked incredibly strong 2 months ago. And, you know, it's not hashtag analysis to say that that's not the case now on Friday, September 5th. So, you know, you look at a 7-game series, you know, in a 5-game, I think they can get away with going, you know, Ranger, going Sanchez, and then going, you know, Luzardo, who we were talking about going to the pen, you know, a month ago.
Yeah.
You kind of need him to throw, you know, 4 or 5 innings, at least 2 rounds of a lineup, you know, in a playoff situation. You know, they may not have enough. You know, I have no confidence that Walker Buehler, who was let go after signing a $21 million contract in the offseason, is going to come in here and, you know, be the second coming. So a lot of worries heading into the postseason for sure.
Yeah, need to see a lot from those 2 right-handers before I'm feeling confident in the rotation. But I am feeling pretty good about the other guys. I know that Luzardo has shown some struggles, but he seems to be figuring it out as of late. Suarez has done a great job battling as of late. Even when he doesn't have it, he really seems to still induce soft contact. So feeling good about the boys overall, but that rotation, once you get into the playoffs, they've struggled against some good pitching. They'll need that good pitching on their side as well. But we're not here to talk about the pitching.
Well, can I make one quick point?
Please, yeah, of course, Dan. No, let's do it.
During the lightning delay last night, I asked myself, as a fellow baseball-loving Jew, I said, what's Harrison Bader's stats look like since coming over? He's hitting 307. Now, 98 at-bats, right? Like, he's not even at 100 at-bats since coming over from the Twins. But talk about a guy defensively who has really stepped up for them in a position which they needed someone with a pulse to be playing in the outfield.
For sure.
You know, he's got like 9 RBI and 2 home runs, but a professional hitter on the bottom half of that lineup is something that they have really struggled with during this entire run starting in 22. So have loved not only his vibes, he's got great hair. Clearly he's in the gym. His legs look great. He's basically like our version of, I don't know why his name is escaping me, Spencer Strider. But yeah, vibes are high, and he's providing some professionalism in the outfield. I just don't think we're talking enough about how good he's been, and how, after some strikeouts of the deadline from Dombrowski the last 2 years, I think Bader's commitment has kind of stabilized some of that platooning.
I completely agree with you, and we were definitely going to talk about that later in the show. So, way to bring the extra knowledge, Bader. I think the thing that's overlooked with him, I swear we'll get to SportsTown in a moment, but the thing that's been overlooked with him is everybody's talking about how good he's been since coming over, and he really struggled in those first 10 games. So it's 307 since coming over, but it's like 360 since that first week and a half. So
and
took him a moment to
spots.
adjust, but he really's come up big in the field and at the plate. So
yeah,
that's a good job from you, definitely. Appreciate the ball knowledge, and we are going to talk a little bit more ball, but this time it's going to be some banana ball, because our guy Dan Koob and the crew at SportsTown went down to Savannah and went a little bananas, if you will. Got a awesome partnership with the Savannah Bananas. The debut episode today, I loved it, but I want you, as the guy who experienced it, take us through a little bit about what people can expect if they haven't checked it out already.
Yeah, SportsTown is the search for America's best sports city. We are a group of a couple guys. We started with 4. We've expanded out a little bit since then with the help of the great people at 2020 Visual Media in South Philly. It's an Emmy Award-winning production company right here in our backyard, owned by 2 of our friends from college, Rob Sisowitz and Patrick Rosenbaum. So we basically travel around the country in search of the best sports city in America. And we had our pilot episode come out in March, which was in Lexington, Kentucky, working with the Kentucky Wildcats. And then, we kind of looked around and said, well, where can we go next? Right. So there's Major League Baseball, there's the NFL, there's the NHL, a lot of red tape involved in a lot of that. So we thought, where can we go that's going to have high impact and not going to have a lot of red tape? And the answer to that is the biggest and most fun baseball team in the world right now. And that is, of course, the Savannah Bananas. So we reached out to the Bananas, and they saw the first show and they loved it. And they said, come on down to Savannah. The only thing you can't do is play in the baseball game. But you can do everything else. So you can try out for the Dad Bod Squad. You can dance with us. You can take BP. You could, field ground balls. Anything you want to do, you can do it. So, we got in our cars. We drove down to Savannah, Georgia with our production equipment, and we made a Netflix quality show about what is truly peeling back the curtain on what the Savannah Bananas operation is truly like. I mean, if you watch interviews with the Bananas on 60 Minutes, or you watch them, being featured in other things, oftentimes they're talking to the owner, Jesse Cole, or some of the players, just sort of like off to the side, in foul territory before a game, and they're kind of getting the same spiel over and over and over again. And frankly, it's boring. So this is not boring. This is a true peek behind the curtain. I mean, we're in the locker room. We're wearing jerseys. We're being told we can't be wearing those jerseys and jock straps of pitcher Andy Archer, which I personally was offended by. But kudos to him. A lot of space in that jock strap, Andy. Congrats on that. But we're in the field. We're dancing with the banana, the man nanas, the Dad Bod Squad, the man nanas. We're doing chants with the nanas, which is the grandmom cheerleading squad. We're in there with the players. So an amazing time. And then we have the opportunity to go around Savannah, Georgia, and take in the city as well. So what the show does is we basically go to sporting events, but we curate like a 72-hour trip in that town as well for you. So we're showing you the best places to eat, play, and stay before we go into the stands and showcase exactly what it's like to be at a Savannah Bananas game. Kyle, I don't know if you went to the Bananas when they were in Philly a couple weeks ago. I was there as well. Incredible. It is such an assault on all of your senses that I came home. So I have 2 kids. They were way too young to be witnessing all of this. We came home and I had to sit and have a bourbon for an hour to decompress. It was so much sensory overload, but it was so much fun too. And I think that's what the Bananas have really tapped into is baseball is boring. Call it what it is. Baseball is boring.
I love it. I love it too. They're trying to make it more fun themselves. They're changing all the rules. I love it too. So.
I've always loved baseball. I think baseball is the most romantic sport possible. However, it's boring at times. And Banana Ball strips all that stuff away. They are crazy with the rules, which, we detail in the episode of Sportstown, which is now on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SportsTown Show. You can watch it right now. And they're so media savvy. They just get it. They're like, just do whatever you want. Use logos, use branding, do whatever. So we did. We went down there, had an amazing time. I think it comes through in the episode. The guys who make the show have so much fun, working together, which I hope comes through because we all are all friends. And then, the finished product, I think, punches way above its weight class. I think it's a Netflix quality product with only, I think, 9 people worked on the show this time around. So it's a lot of fun.
And dude, I know that it's when you're somebody who's working on the show, you're going to hype it up and talk about the quality. I might be friends with these guys. I am not involved with the show in any way, shape, or form. They're not paying me for this advertisement. They don't got that kind of budget.
We're not paying anyone.
Yeah, I was going to say,
including those who work on the show.
So I'm not blowing smoke when I say that when he says Netflix quality, he means Netflix quality. The quality of this production, you would think that there was a 25-man crew working on it. And it's not ragtag because you guys are extremely organized, but it's as skeleton crew as it gets. And you're still putting out something that people could find anywhere on their favorite streaming services. I've compared it to when you and I spoke for the article that I put out today talking about the episode. I'd said to you it gave like Bourdain-esque vibes in the first one. This second one, Savannah, a very different area than Lexington. It gave more like Jamie Sire Food Network vibes. And you hear Bourdain, you hear Food Network, you think high quality, and it lives up to both of them. So for anybody who's worried that it's just a bunch of dudes and their friend promoting it for them, no, I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy it. And you mentioned it, that my favorite part of it is that you guys you don't frame it as here's what to do down there, but you are by nature curating if you wanted to go down here and do a weekend trip, you don't even have to think about it. Watch our show and we got you covered. What are some of the things that really stood out to you that you didn't know about Savannah before you got down there?
Oh, so much. I mean, I have not spent a ton of time in the South. I've traveled a lot in my 20s for work, but it was mostly Midwest and Northeast. There was so much. I didn't realize the Gump bench, the famous Gump bench in Forrest Gump, is actually in the Smithsonian. So we went to, there's a portion of the show where I am dressed in full Gump attire.
Oh, yeah.
And we recreate a very famous scene on a park bench, but that bench is not there. So we had to go find a bench in an adjacent square and then shoot that while the Parks Department was leaf blowing. And they would not stop leaf blowing. So we had very short windows to get takes in. I think we ended up getting 2 clean takes audio-wise after sitting there for like 45 minutes. You know what? It shouldn't surprise me, but people in the South are so nice and so accommodating. You and I are from the Northeast, obviously went to Temple. We're both from the area. It is so refreshing to be like, could we do this? And someone's just like, sure. What would you like? What would you like to do? How much time do you need? Let me stop my day. Yeah, and it was mind blowing. But it's and you mentioned the style of episode, right? Like very, very much so. The first episode of the show in Lexington, Kentucky, was a proof of concept, right? We kind of just wanted to get one down. Let's show that we can do it, and then go from there. But the energy that the Bananas have is so, chaotic's maybe not the right word, but it is so frenetic that we wanted the rest of the episode to reflect that energy. So like we do things that are maybe inarguably zanier in this episode
for sure
than they are in the other episode because we want to match that energy, but also we are still figuring out what the show is, right? Like we have a lot of influences. A lot of people on the show are cinephiles. Like we want to pay homage to directors, movies, moments in TV and film that shaped us and shape, who we are as people and what we find interesting as content. So if you watch this episode, you're going to find homages to things like Forrest Gump, to Robert Zemeckis films. You're going to find an homage to Dumb and Dumber that I am particularly fond of. And that's just part of us figuring out exactly what this show is, because quite frankly, like we've made 2, we're in production on a 3rd, and we're in pre-production on a 4th. And we're just kind of figuring it out as we go. And that's like the nice thing about creating a show with your friends. You have like loose guidelines, loose rails. that you try to keep yourself within, but you also allow yourself the creative freedom to push the limits a little bit and like find out what works, find out what doesn't work. So if people don't like the gum stuff, we already did it, so it's fine. We're not going to do it again. That's like the nice push and pull of a show like this.
Love it, man. And once again, we are here with Dan Koob from SportsTown, SportsTown Show, episode 2, the Savannah Bananas, Savannah, Georgia episode dropped earlier today. A great episode, nice travel style show with a sports twist. This one, I really felt a lot of personality was brought out. And like you said, not that you guys didn't show personality. I think the way you guys have done your social media teases and releases have been great. I think that I didn't even know what to expect from the first episode. And when you guys did the teaser about you being bit by the horse, I was like, oh, okay. All right, there's some personality. And you saw some of it in the episode, but like you said, it did feel more like, okay, not a by the numbers travel show. It did give a little bit of a different vibe. I liked the behind the scenes. One thing I liked is that how much you guys showed the crew instead of just you as the host. And I think that really brought home I know how good of friends you guys are, but that really brings home that friendship. It really feels like 4 dudes on a trip and whatever, 9 for the last one, but 4 guys on a trip together, and they just happen to have really great cameras and know how to put together a really wonderful production.
And that's really what it is. Like, we're 4 friends, and more people work on the show now than the first go around, but we're just like 4 friends who have a background in TV production. So that's what it is. We have nice cameras and like we shoot it, and like it is a goal of mine to get all of the crew into each episode and not just to check a box, because like these dudes work so freaking hard, man. And like we shoot 16-hour days. We drop into a town for like 4 or 5 days. There's only 5 or 6 of us. I'm carrying lights. I'm carrying equipment, like, and then I'm putting it down and I'm like getting on camera while somebody's like setting up a tripod. Someone else is setting up a light. We're doing that stuff. It's like, it is so guerrilla style. And you're shooting. So in the episode, for example, we have a scene where, we go ghost hunting at one of the most haunted homes in America. And we shot that till 2 a.m. And we started that day at 7 a.m. So you're working 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. on a show that you're not getting paid for, right? That you just like, you have a dream to make this thing happen. And we just make it happen. And like the guys work hard and nobody ever complains. Everyone's on the same page. We're like, we're doing this. We're going to have fun. We're going to make it fun. So like, and stuff happens when you shoot, right? Like we have outtakes on this one that I think are really funny. Any opportunity I can to put Rob Sizowitz on camera, I will take. He hates it, and I want him on.
He's so handsome, though. He should be on.
So
you're all handsome, but man.
So handsome. I am the least handsome of the 4 of us. I just happen to talk the most. So that's why I'm in front of the camera. But it's such a fun time, and we have a great time doing it together. And I hope that comes through. I mean, that's like the biggest thing to us. I mean, I'm seeing a comment. Do you want me to reference the comment?
Yeah. We'll bring it up here.
Yeah. So there is a list of places we've been or going to. So as Kyle mentioned, we've had 2 episodes. Our first one was in Lexington, Kentucky. We profiled the Kentucky Wildcats basketball program. This one is in Savannah, Georgia, with the Bananas. At the end of the episode, we tease our 3rd episode, which will be in the city of Philadelphia. We are working with Major League Baseball and the Philadelphia Phillies. We shot at a Phillies game earlier this year. So we will be featuring the Phillies in early October. And then we are heading back out to the Midwest for episode 4. And then episode 5 and 6 will be forthcoming in 2026 as well. So, we're super excited about the Philly one. Obviously, it's our hometown. This episode in Philly will not include, every cutaway you see during Monday Night Football, right? Like, we're not going to show you Pats and Genos because nobody from Philly goes to Pats and Genos. Like, we're not going to show you fake boxers because we have real boxers from Philadelphia.
Hey, there we go.
So it's kind of like the If You Know, You Know episode. People from Philly will appreciate it. People coming to Philly will learn something about the city as well. So we're really excited, and we're going to have some very, very special guests on that episode that will shock you, Kyle.
I know,
frankly, shock me. Like they shocked the interest in being in this episode completely floored me, and I can't wait for people to see it. It's going to be mind blowing. Yeah,
awesome. And like for real, I don't know. You teased it when we did the interview, and you were like, "You're going to be shocked," and none of you. I know none of you have even let a little bit slip. I'm just sitting over here dying, like. I have a couple guesses, but I'm not even going to do it at this point. I just want to be surprised. So
you won't guess it. I'm going to tell you straight up.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. That's good to know. All right. That's exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
That throws out like more than half of my guesses. So that's good to go.
Okay.
That's good to know. I'm down to like 3 people and I'm going to keep it to myself.
Okay.
I'm just going to be surprised. Once again, here with Dan Koob, host of SportsTown, episode 2, the Savannah. Wow. I'll get that eventually. I swear to God. Ooh, rewind. Episode 2 of SportsTown, the Savannah, Georgia episode. They go bananas with the Savannah Bananas down in Georgia. A great show so far, guys. I know I don't have you much longer, Dan. I do want to go a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
For people who are just joining us, SportsTown, it's some best friends and their search to determine what the best sports city in America is. And the thing that really has stuck out to me is the personality that they bring. Episode 1, you see a lot of behind the scenes stuff in their teasers during the episode. Afterwards, social media is a great way to understand how these guys are friends. And knowing Dan and knowing the creative producer, Rudy Mezzi, and how, no offense to the other guys, I think you're all great and funny too, but how much your guys' personalities have always shined. It's what made me want to become friends with you guys right when I joined Temple. You guys know that I joined 2 years after you guys did, kind of came in as the newcomer, and just the way that your guys' personalities shined really stood out to me. And you can see that a lot in the Savannah episode. I can see a lot of the things, like I forget what the one line is. I think it's as you're entering the ferry boat, where I was like, oh, that's everything that I would think of Dan would say back in college, and his interaction. And there was a couple lines where I remember, man, like I can hear Rudy saying that or writing it. I can see Rudy thinking that, writing it down and giving it to Dan. Like there's a lot more personality in this one. And you saw plenty, but it's a very different version of it. And I do like that there's an evolution and it's not the same color by numbers formula between the 2 episodes. We've talked a lot about Savannah already. I know that you only have so much time for each episode. For anybody who watches the episode and goes, damn, I want to go to Savannah, what else could I do? What's something that maybe you guys were interested in doing and either didn't have the time to, or just had to end up on the cutting room floor? What was something about Savannah that stood out to you that maybe you won't see in full detail in the episode?
Well, unfortunately, our shooting windows are such that we don't leave much on the cutting room floor. I mean, like most of what we shoot is into the episode, again, because we're one crew. And, sometimes we're shooting 3, 4, 5 locations a day, and, you've got one shot to get stuff and then you get it and you're using it. So, I would say one of the things that surprised me most about the city itself was how walkable it is. We have a segment that basically we are walking to and from all of these very fun, accessible places. That's like a riverboat cruise. That's an architecture tour. That's hopping on public transit for like 20 seconds to get to one of the most world-renowned sweets stores, where you can get what's called a praline, which I never had before. A praline is just like butter and sugar and cream.
Sweet.
And an almond. And, if I lived in the South, I'd weigh much more than I currently weigh. That's for sure. But yeah, I would say, are there things we wish we could have done? I wish I could have played in the game, but that's okay.
Right?
I would have made an absolute ass of myself, because if you saw earlier in the episode, we do fielding drills with Dalton Malden, who's the second baseman for the Bananas. And, he was like, have you ever played baseball? And I was like, yeah, I played till I was like 20, but I haven't fielded a ground ball on turf since, I was like 20.
Yeah.
I'm no longer 20. And he was like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And you'll see in the episode, I was not fine. So, the ball skips off turf a lot differently than it skips off the grass. So
yeah, a little bit.
I'm playing hops and there are no hops. And I just embarrassed myself in front of the Banana second baseman. But no, I mean, part of that's part of the charm. Like you mentioned, Rudy and I and our personalities coming through. Part of the charm is I have no shame. So if I'm embarrassed on camera, I don't think about it ever again. So it doesn't make a difference to me. Maybe that's what makes me a host. I'm not going to say a good host, but a host.
Oh, I think you're a good host, Dan. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
One thing I really want to push for these guys is it is a passion project come to life. If you've ever thought, man, I wish I had time to do X, I wish I had time to do Y. Well, these guys are creating time, if that's even possible. I know it's not, because nobody has the time to do anything. We're talking about guys with full families, full careers, pets, other concerns, family members, and they are doing what they can to make this dream come alive. SportsTown, it is an experience. It is a Netflix quality, any streaming service quality show, but it's being put together by a skeleton crew, and it's indistinguishable from one of these top tier services as far as quality is concerned. And it all started back with, probably vaguely talked about in the studios at Temple University with a bunch of kids around from Philadelphia. And then give them a little bit of the history for those who might just be joining who haven't read the article. I know that there was a pilot back in the day that maybe you weren't involved with, and then really coming back, hearing about it and pushing the idea when you got back home.
Yeah, of course. And we're really appreciative for the article. It's a great article. Go check it out. It gives a lot of background, a lot of history into our past as friends, the four of us on the show, and also, Kyle as well. Around 2010, 2011, I think the seeds of this idea sort of took form with Rob, Patrick, and Rudy in 2012 or 2013. They went and shot a pilot of the show in Tuscaloosa, which was amazing. When you consider in 2012, 2013, I think we were 23 at the time. So, no experience. Just they went and did it. And I was super jealous. I loved the concept. I loved the idea. And I remember telling them this is going to be huge. But, the media landscape, very different back then. You basically had paths that were Comcast Sportsnet, or, you're doing time buys at midnight on, whatever, in order to, get your product on the air. And the environment obviously just changed a great deal in the last 10, 12 years. So unfortunately, but fortunately, I was working at a place where I was laid off in November of 23. And I had been talking to Rob about making SportsTown for years at this point, years. And actually, we made a run at Duke in like 2016, I want to say. Put in a Durham episode together. And then things happened, just didn't happen. So I was like, you know what? We're actually going to do it. It's been 11 or 12 years. Let's just see if I get a town and the team on board. I reached out to multiple places, and Kentucky was the first one that was like, we'll give you credentials. We think it's a fun idea. Come out and shoot it. So I went back to the guys at 2020 Visual Media, again, Emmy award-winning production house in South Philly, owned by two of our friends from college who do great work. And they were like, yeah, let's give it a shot. And that's what happened. So we gave it a shot. We went and shot the pilot in March of 24. It was released in March of 25. So it was kind of not languishing, but it was certainly sitting, waiting to be shopped a little bit for about a year. And when that came out in March, like we had 50,000 views, over 110,000 impressions on a show four friends made, had no money to market. So we were just kind of blown away by the response. And, we'll have an announcement pretty soon about a major national sponsor in the next couple of weeks. That's going to allow us to continue to go forward. So, looking back from where we were in a year ago, when I wrote an email to myself of like what I think a segment could be structured, how a segment could be structured, to now looking up, and we've got 2 episodes. We're in production on a 3rd. We're in pre-production on a 4th, and we've got 2 more to come after that contractually with this sponsor. It's pretty amazing. Like if you have a passion project, go do it. Find some time, chip away at it, and you look up in a year or 2 years or 5 years and just kind of see where you're at.
Well, absolutely love it, man. It's an inspirational story, and the quality shows the dedication that you guys have put into it. Awesome to hear that you guys are going to have a Philly episode. I love the teaser at the end. I know that you guys had done some filming at Citizens Bank Park. I know you can't tell us all the gets, but if you can give us one note before you leave about the Philly episode, whether it's around when it's coming out or anything, just to get the people excited before you head out.
So the plan is to get it out in October. If the Phillies want to go ahead and get a bye, that would help us a great deal. Buy us an extra couple days. So you can expect the Philly episode in October. We're wrapping up shooting on that, and we're going to be writing it here the next couple of weeks, and then we'll get in the edit booth and knock it out. So you'll be hearing from us again very soon.
Love it, man. And not SportsTown related, although I will give us a little sign off. Give us one note about the Phillies before you jump, the current Phillies and how they just did, or what you see from them coming the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, baseball is a marathon, right? Like they get swept by the Mets and they take 2 or 3 at, do they call it Miller Park anymore? In Milwaukee, right? Team with the best record in baseball. So, it's all matchup dependent. It's all day by day. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. I do worry about the pitching staff now. I think before the season, I said I had them marked for 89 wins and an NLDS loss. I'm gonna update that to 93 wins and an NLDS loss. So there you go.
Oh man, take the extra wins, but same result at the end of the day. American Family Yield it's called now, which I don't know. I don't know who that is. Sure. Probably some mutual fund company. But.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Anybody. Anyway, Dan, really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go check out SportsTown. If you follow me on Twitter, I've tweeted about it. I've talked about the show. Make sure you give Dan a follow as well at SportsTown Koob and at SportsTown Show for all the latest on SportsTown. Looking forward to the Philadelphia episode, my friend. Appreciate the time, and we will talk soon.
No, I really appreciate your support of the show and you talking to us about it. I'm just putting the link into the chat here, if that's okay.
Perfect. No, yeah, go for it. Okay. Definitely.
No, really appreciate you. Really appreciate your support, Kyle. It's been a really fun day of people reaching out, communicating that they are enjoying the product, and that's why we do it. In addition to making it because we're friends, we want to. So much appreciated. Please go read Kyle's great writing in the Metro and online. And hopefully we'll be talking to you soon for a Philly episode.
Yes, sir. Most certainly. We'll get it on the books as soon as we know more. Appreciate it again. And go watch SportsTown if you haven't done it quite yet. Appreciate the time, Dan.
Thanks.